General Wilsbach, congratulations on your nomination, and thank you for your lifetime of service to our nation. I want to return to the theme of the readiness crisis because it deeply concerns me. We have pilots today taking on risks flying combat missions in jets that haven't been updated since the 1990s. If fighter procurement stays where it is now, where are we taking the biggest risks over the next decade?
We've talked about the readiness of the aircraft, just the availability of the aircraft. So, half of the aircraft that we have, say, and it's not the exact figure, but let's say half of the aircraft that we have are available on any given day. That means that you can't fly your full fleet. And so what that means is the pilots and the crews aren't training. And so the first thing we do is sustain the weapon system sustainment accounts so we get that aircraft availability up. Now the pilots can train on a more regular basis. You don't look at any professional sports person, athlete that practices 2 times a week. They practice almost every day. Well, our pilots are flying about 2 to 2.5 times a week in a fighter aircraft. That is not enough. That is why in my last assignment, I made it a requirement for Air Combat Command fighter pilots to fly a minimum of 3 times a week. When I was lieutenant, I flew almost 4.5 times a week. That will allow the proficiency that we can develop so that we are ready.
So fair to say that today's young lieutenants and captains in our fighters are not getting the same level of training and preparation that Lieutenant Wilsbach got back in the day?
I believe that's true. Now, they have an advantage that I didn't have, which is the simulators that we have today are highly capable, and there's a lot of value in the simulators. We didn't have that when I was a youngster, and we made up for it by flying more. That's why I dictated 3 sorties a week versus more than that.
Can our current 5th-generation fighters execute our major combat operational plans without the 4th-generation fleet?
Doubtful. The 4th generation brings a lot of capability. For example, the F-15 is an incredible workhorse. It's going to be able to fire some of the more long-range weapons that don't actually fit in the weapons bays of the 5th-generation aircraft. And you can also use the 4th gen for missions that don't require penetrating into highly contested environment, like your defensive counter-air that tends to be defending your bases, et cetera. So, and then the 4th gen would obviously be doing homeland defense as well, which in the current environment, you can't just write off the fact that you won't be targeted because of the nature of the threat or global now.
I agree that it's doubtful. At best, probably. Given all that, are we currently flying our legacy fleet at a significant risk level? And do you expect that risk to increase over the next decade?
I think the risk level is appropriate, and the commanders have authority to adjust that on a daily basis, and the crews know what that means in terms of execution.
I'm still concerned about the risk we're accepting as we wait for new capabilities to come online. If confirmed, would you be willing to leverage additional fighter production to replace our oldest jets and strengthen our strike fighter fleet?
Absolutely.
If Congress can find the funds and
That's the key.
send them your way?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Good. Finally, General Wilsbach, you probably know that Fort Smith is the home now of the F-35 International Training Mission. We've stood up this mission in record time thanks to all hands on deck cooperation from the Air Force, the Air National Guard, and state and local partners. Arkansas is already producing combat-ready F-35 pilots for our allies. If confirmed, can I get your commitment to ensuring that Ebbing Air National Guard Base continues to receive the resources it needs to effectively train our allied pilots?
I commit, Senator.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.